Hey,
BFL show week 5. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you, gentlemen, for letting me be on the preeminent Beloit Fantasy League show. I really appreciate it. Thanks, gentlemen.
Our
it's true.
pleasure.
We are the number
And
one BFL show.
and I appreciate your team, Brian, for taking the first 2 weeks of the year off. But I'm a little intimidated now.
Yeah, see, yeah, I definitely was a little frustrated those first 2 weeks. That's for sure. I'm definitely feeling better.
So me and Mike kind of ran out of time last week, so maybe we should just jump right into it.
Sure.
All right, cool. Just a tip of the cap to this bully that's our third guest today, Brigadier's Brigade with the biggest blowout. 94 points, so that's kind of a testament to our league where that's not a giant blowout.
Could have been a lot worse if Odell Beckham made the lineup.
Yeah, see, so that was one of my first biggest takes. Yeah, definitely. And then Aaron Rodgers put on a show, of course.
Yeah.
On Monday night.
Yes, you were kind of in my shoes too. We can talk about my matchup in a little bit, but it's kind of like you're never easy when you know your opponent has a good player on Monday night, and those dudes showed up. So, well done to you though. You're super hot. We'll talk about our matchups coming up in the future here in a little bit. But we kind of buried the lead here. I only have one team up there right now because there's only one perfect record still. The Miami Dolphins are quivering in their boots right now, in fear of what might happen. Mike, you're undefeated.
Very happy to be 4-0, but know that again, circumstance has a lot to do with it. You play the right teams at the right time, and it just. But yeah, for sure, I couldn't be happier. In 1984, my points. That's the year I was born as well. So
it's a sign. One could argue that Derrick Henry's the best player on your team. How do you feel about the Titans purposely getting COVID?
I'm pretty upset that they might get in trouble and we might not have another game again. Not so much as a fantasy player, but as an NFL fan. Now it was easy to reschedule one game. If they have to do it again, what are we looking at? This could be a nightmare.
Can we get speaking of that, I guess, the nightmare, can we get a rulings check? What did we decide on? Week 6 was an official BFL season?
That sounds about right, yeah.
Should we call Nate and get him as another guest right now? I don't know. Maybe it was week 6 and then it counts and so trades counted? I don't know. Hopefully we get there. Some stuff around the league. There's some dudes.
Bill O'Brien's fired for sure. That's a long time coming. I think Dan Quinn's probably not far behind.
Better? This is better. My bad.
That's way better. And Adam Gase probably not far behind as well. But it depends on how those teams want to play it. I think Bill O'Brien was fired once DeAndre Hopkins trade. They're like, okay, we hope you know what you're doing. And now Hopkins is killing it. The offense looks bad. It's like, okay, you're done. Goodbye.
I've literally just got an alert on my phone that said NFL coach's verbal blow up at practice with a 3-time defensive player of the year led to him losing his team and his job. So I'd like to read more into it, but not at this time.
Oh, wow.
I think it was just it needed to happen. Honestly, his trades were awful. There's no reason that he should have been GM in the first place, but the fact that I just feel like it wasn't working for sure.
That's for sure.
Maybe this is my Big Ten bias or something, but I don't trust Penn State people for good reason. And he was a Penn State guy, and it always rubbed me the wrong way that he was the guy that resurrected Penn State, but then he left and then he got this great job. I don't know. I think he's not my guy. So I'm not crying for him. Russell Wilson, man, he kind of simmered down a little bit this week. I was lucky enough to play against him the week he didn't throw for 6 touchdowns. But the Seahawks are awesome.
Seahawks are good. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then Brian, I believe you own Justin Herbert?
I do own Justin Herbert.
Was that a draft strategy going in that because you picked up Tua and Herbert? Was that something you were going to do?
No, so like it really just came down to that last round, and I was actually going to take just a veteran quarterback, as a backup, or even because Drew Brees is, I knew Drew Brees wasn't obviously what he was or what he used to be. So my thought was I was originally going to take Roethlisberger, but he was taking like 2 picks ahead of me,
Yeah.
and then it came right down to it, and I'm like, why not just take, he's a first round, he's like the number 5 pick in the draft or number 6 pick in the draft. Like, why not, just take a stab at him, and it's the last round really. And so I figured he's as good a pick as you're going to get for a possible any keeper level player that you're probably going to get in that last round. So why not just take a stab at him and see what happens?
Right on, it's paying off.
High upside for sure.
Yeah, and I think we're kind of seeing that teams with elite quarterbacks are doing well. My team's overperforming due to Kyler right now. And I think quarterback is a little bit underrated in our league. All right, let's push it forward a little bit. What do I got here? Oh yeah. So I mean, has there ever been an epic tight end like matchup? So I was playing against Ryan, who off the waiver wire. What a pickup by Ryan. I think I told him that no one in the world had ever heard of him, of Bob Tonyan, but obviously Packers fans knew of him. 105 points, and then I thought I was sitting pretty with Kittle's 87.75, but goodness gracious, tight ends.
Kittle was absolutely dominant. I believe he caught 15 of 16 targets, buck 83, just absolute, stud. And then Tonyan outscored him due to the touchdowns, thankfully. So I think the impact of the total team, Tonyan, I think, was a benefit of some pretty shoddy defense. But wow, yeah, unbelievable. I don't know if you saw it, but Tanyan's third touchdown, he was actually tackled by a guy who was stumbling, and then he got back up and was still wide open. I don't think I've ever seen.
Of course, I watched it. Like that. Sometimes, like I've coached football in the past, and sometimes that we tell, like, hey, if you're getting beat, tackle the guy, and then we'll take the penalty rather than give up a touchdown. Well, that guy tackled him, and he still gave up a touchdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's good to have Kittle back. I think Nick Mullins has a man crush on Kittle, and so we'll see if that keeps up when Garoppolo comes back. All right. Okay. So sorry, you got a little tease there. I talked earlier in the week on the chat about introducing some awards that you guys would get a kick out of. Let's have a little NFL history. Okay. Bear with me. During his 11 seasons in the NFL, Tony Zendejas made 186 field goals in 252 attempts. He also scored 316 points, extra points for 874 points, blah, blah, blah. He held the record of consecutive field goals from 50 yards or more with 11 in a row until 2013, broken by Blair Walsh and Robbie Gould. In 1991, he became the first kicker in NFL history to convert all of his field goal attempts. Okay? Tony Zendejas. Elite. Cody Parkey, I'm not going to read that. Futility, shame, awful. I introduced to the BFL, and it's kind of stealing on what Nate used to do with the Stars and Scrubs. I introduced to the BFL the Zendejas Award of Excellence and the Parkey Award of Shame and Futility. So I've gone back, and we'll be seeing this every week. Our top kicker performances and our shameful kicker performances. You are shamed for having this terrible kicker on your team. I'd like to point out Young Ho Koo in week 2, 40 points. He is the champ right now.
40 points from the kicker.
And look at Cadillac Cruz, 2 points in week 3. How embarrassing.
From Harrison Buckner too. That's crazy.
Right.
Everybody was so impressed with his 3 straight makes from 50 plus, and then he comes out and has a stinker. Yeah.
So I'm not going to spend too much time on this screen, but I know everyone is dying to be a Zendejas award winner, and everyone's dying to not be on the Parkey list. Let's move it on. I hope you guys got a kick out of this award. All right, let me get back in. All right, perfect. So here's our standings after 4 weeks. Thoughts?
Look, I mean, you got to look at the cavalry division, right? It's the most intriguing by far. Everybody's 2-2. You got a 2-game losing streak, a 2-game winning streak. You got somebody, it's everything all wrapped into one. It's unbelievable. Really anybody's game. Like you said last week, you could flip-flop these. I just think of, yours and Ryan's matchup, 1.4 points decided the difference. And, if he gets one more catch for 2 yards from Tanyan at the end of the game, or a 6-yard run by Aaron Jones, we're looking at something completely different. And it's just early season, the record looks so much different when you're 1-3 or 3-1 or 2-2. So it's crazy. I usually by now you have some teams that are ready to sell. I don't think anybody will be selling just yet, which is cool.
Yeah, I know there's been some talks out there and some ideas floated. So I'm hearing some things in the wind, but I haven't heard anything like solid yet. I like to look at the points against, and in the Cavalry, it's really interesting. With our first place team in the Cavalry has the most points against. So that's really not telling us anything, is it? Let's try in an hour with that. Let's look at the top in artillery. Mike with the 2-game lead. It's a surprise to see Nate down at 1-3. He easily could be 0-4. He snuck it out against me the other week. And so, how you feeling, Mike?
Great. I'm thinking we'll never have Drew on the show again, because ever since he's been on, he hasn't lost. So maybe some good karma for Brian here being on the show now. So look out for that this week, John. But solid performance by the team again. A lot of guys scored. Amari Cooper finally found the end zone, found it twice, in fact. No real blow-up performances in a week with some huge numbers put up by guys. I think Amari was by far my highest score at 84, but just consistent down the line to put up 500 points, and it's exactly what I needed. And, here we are, moving on. We're on to week 5.
We're on to week 5. Down in the infantry, the biggest story that we haven't talked about probably is what the heck happened to Dom, and he's got to fire his strength and conditioning coach or his training staff. He lost some crucial players.
Not only that, but now with the Titans-Bills game being up in the air, he might not have Josh Allen this week either.
Yeah.
So just raining poo from the heavens. I know it was a big topic when I said something about the fantasy gods, and now that happened. I certainly didn't mean to call that onto anybody, but it is a real thing. I'm a firm believer in it. So that's why I'm not gloating about being 4-0, because like I said, if I played a different schedule, like if I played Wither's schedule with those points against, I could be 1-3 myself. You know what I mean? It's just, you got to time it right. So
I think Dom is going to be looking at his team though. I think he'll be okay in the sense that the 2 players he lost were Eckler and Chubb, and he can just replace them with Zeke and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So it's not like it's going to be a huge breakdown. The Josh Allen thing is obviously could be a huge, that's you can't really come back from that. He's got Baker, I think, but
Baker's got a tough matchup this week.
I don't know who he's exact. Yeah, I don't think he can really replace him exactly. I'm not sure who he's got exactly as his backup. But
Baker's got the Colts this week, and the Colts probably the best defense in the NFL right now.
No, I completely agree with you, Brian. Dom is stacked in that position. He's not completely dead, but anytime you lose players of that caliber, and then what happens this week if he loses another one? But whatever. Yeah. So Mike, would you like to put the kabam on some other team this week? You have any predictions about who's in trouble? Or you already said me, maybe.
I got some things when we discuss each matchup. I'll say some stuff then.
All right, let me keep going with this fantasy gods thing. Here's how I picture it. I think of the fantasy gods as like a 12-person league somewhere in fantasy land.
Okay.
And they kind of you kind of have to appease all 12 of them. So it's a little more, it's like kind of really, really tricky. So if you make one move, maybe you're appeasing like the the leader of the league? What if you do something else? Maybe you're insulting like the person who's always like the trader. So there's like a god of trading. I don't know. What do you guys think? Or no, move on.
I've never thought about it that in depth before.
I don't think I don't think
Right,
I've
I'm gonna
actually
go
put any
back and
time
edit
into thought
that
of
part out, and so no one else has to hear about that. And you guys don't think I'm crazy. All right, and sorry about the CNN alert there. I don't know if you watched the debate. Okay, so matchups. Where you guys want to start?
Well, let's save your guys for last. We'll do what we did last week. We'll start from the bottom.
All right.
So
what's going on with Seth's projected points? I haven't looked at his lineup.
Well, Rodgers, he hasn't changed his lineup.
Rodgers and Adams.
And Adams and
no Galladay
Kenny Galladay.
either.
Yeah, for sure. So
yikes.
Yeah. Seth. Yeah. Oh no, we have Seth down as I have Seth down as having Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, he does. I was incorrect. Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, so that was actually one of my question marks because he's got Baker right now, but I think he may be able to do a plug and play. They may get more points than Baker this week against the Colts, but we'll see. Looks like he might have Raheem Mostert back. That's going to be big for him. He's got a lot of buys to overcome, but after the bye, he should be able to plug in Rodgers and Devontae every week. Devontae should be. Well, he already said he was 100%, but he should be for sure 100% coming back. So this week may be tough with the suddenly hot Cadillac crew. However, did you guys see? You saw that thing that Drew posted where Stephon Gilmore, who had COVID, was right in Patrick Mahomes' face.
Oh my gosh! That's awful.
If you're a Chiefs fan, you're holding your breath right now, aren't you?
Yeah.
DK Metcalf has a tasty matchup for Drew this week. Fun fact, my phone auto-corrected the word "do" to the initials DK this week, so maybe I love DK Metcalf and I just don't know it.
Yeah.
I think James Robinson has been a good story so far, but I see his production getting lower and lower, and we might see somebody else get some more touches in Jacksonville. I know that's not what you Rockford guys want to hear. That's just how I see it.
Yeah, you kind of hear about the rookie wall. If anybody's due, it's probably him to hit that.
For sure. And then he does get to use a COVID slot with Corey Davis. Corey Davis has got the IR COVID tag. Right now, he's got Mecole in his lineup again. He did not listen to you and go Robbie Anderson last week, and Robbie had a solid week, 99 yards. I think same thing again. I think Carolina's got a good matchup. Especially with the uncertainty if Chiefs and Mahomes. I think Robbie Anderson should be the play this week. But I'll still give Drew the edge.
Robbie is Teddy's guy. I heard that that Robbie Anderson chose Carolina because he had a relationship with Teddy. Like they've got a special connection.
Nice. But yeah, I think I definitely give the edge to Drew.
Nice. I agree.
I agree. I'd say Drew's. I kind of looked at each team, each matchup, and picked a particular matchup in each game. And I didn't really see anything that stood out like is a competitive, that was really that equal. I felt like Drew had especially this week with the bye situation, I felt like he was just, it was just not going to be a good week for individual one, if you will. And so, I just looked, honestly, the best I could come up with was defense on this one. I felt like both teams had pretty strong linebackers. And so that's the only time I'll really talk about defense, but that's about it. That one.
Nice.
Well, Drew needs his boy Darius Leonard to show up. He had one tackle last week after leading the world in tackles for his whole career.
I think he left that game early, and they didn't need him because they were playing the Bears, who have no offense right now.
Oh, he did? I did not know that. Okay.
Pretty sure he did. He did.
Yeah.
Well, that makes motions.
So, I mean, Drew did something right to appease the 12-team league of fantasy gods, because anytime you play Seth without Rodgers, like you're very lucky to do that. Only one team gets to do that once a year if he stays healthy. All right, should we go Big Philly style and the White Thunder?
Yeah. You want to take this one, Brian?
Yeah, sure. I think the big matchup I looked at there, of course, would be Hopkins against Hill. I mean, that to me is the best matchup for White Thunder. In this matchup, I think Phil has the clear advantage. I think White Thunder's got a couple good, trade pieces for future considerations and a couple maybe good keepers. But overall, and he beat me, so I can't say too much. I think he definitely got me on an upset week 2. So, but I think just Phil's got just the superior team on this.
Can I be a matchmaker here? I
Yeah.
really think, not to insult Drew Brees because we haven't gotten to your team yet, and I don't want to piss Drew Brees off when I'm playing him. But I think Deshaun Watson would be a good fit on your team, Brian, as an upgrade over Brees. So maybe make that little text to Kyle and make him an offer he can't refuse.
I mean, it may be. I mean, with Bill O'Brien, I mean, not calling plays and everything, but I mean, because I've been looking at. Trust me, I've looked at all these 1-3 teams even early.
Yep.
It's a little hard to decipher if you want to be a buyer or a seller, but it's like, I've looked at Deshaun Watson and he's been doing well, but like he hasn't been blowing us out of the water like you would expect for Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've definitely considered it, but I'm not 100% there yet. I don't know.
Right on.
So.
It's
I may or may not have.
Go ahead, Mike.
I may or may not have had an offer already rejected to acquire Deshaun Watson.
But he's just riding Burrow so much that I would think that Watson would be some sort available somehow. It's interesting though because we've got Lance ranted during the draft how Watson's not that good, blah blah blah. Like some people see him as not that good, where others like I do, I think he's very very good. So interesting. Anything else on this matchup, you guys?
Yeah, I want to say the White Thunder has 4 Lions on a bye, and maybe that's part of the problem is he has 4 Lions. Also, a very weird stat line. Jordan Howard is slowly turning into late career Jerome Bettis on us. He has 18 carries this year for 14 yards, but a couple touchdowns. That's not good.
They paid him so much money too in the offseason.
My favorite stat is still when Reggie Bush finished the year with -3 yards rushing, which means the 3 of us outrushed Reggie Bush that year.
Nice.
Lamar's questionable, did not practice, but that's just precautionary. Phil's pretty unbelievably healthy. Chris Carson, is he the Terminator or something? Because he's like, I'll be back. He's like, twist my knee. I'll be out a couple weeks. No, I'll be back. Get hurt mid-game. No, I'll be back. And all he does is come in and score 78 points. And one of my new developing man crushes is Hunter Renfrow. I just love that guy as a player, man. He's a player. He makes plays. So, anyways.
Renfrow?
Hunter Renfrow.
Oh, there he is on the bench. I was like, what does he have to do with this matchup?
I like him a lot as a player. Also, yeah, but Philly by a lot.
I think Kyle stays close. Joe Burrow's matchup is awful. I mean, Baltimore is very good on defense against the pass.
He definitely has to go with Deshaun this week.
I don't know. I don't think he will. I think Keenan Allen is really, he's on the uptick with Herbert throwing in the ball. We'll see if Devin Singletary can get into the end zone. Zach Moss might be back, might not. And yeah, the Lions. So I'm going with Phil. All right. Should we bump ahead here? Detroit.
Yeah.
Blizzard? Detroit.
This got to be the matchup of the week, right? Ben trying to, stay relevant in that tight division. Dom trying to come off the rebound here. Obviously projected 519. Well, he was projected for that last week and got 350. So you never know. Josh Allen, obviously the big question mark there. Calvin Ridley's got to bounce back, right? I mean, Matt Ryan totally missed him on a corner out in the end zone where he was wide open, did not even look his way. And then he was late on the throw, the last gasp effort where Adrian Amos came and knocked it away. So it could have been 2 touchdowns for him there, but 0 catches is unreal. I think the Cowboys are going to start to feed Zeke. So I think that bodes well for Dom and not so much for Blizzard. You know Dak's attempts so far this year? He's attempted 39 passes, 47, 57, and 58. His arm's going to fall off, you guys. Drew Bledsoe thinks that's a lot of attempts. So Zeke is going to get the ball more. He has to. And Myles Garrett is an absolute stud. I don't necessarily believe in starting defensive ends, but my gosh, he is a monster. Another man crush going over to Blizzard. I'm really liking Mike the Gesicki, the tight end from the Dolphins. I think they really need to utilize him more. Dalvin Cook, I think is going to have to get involved in the passing game this week because I think they're going to have to score a lot if they want to hang with Seattle. So I think this could be one of those. I mean, Dalvin Cook's so good, by the way, guys, just really good. And I think Robert Woods is one of those weeks I feel like he's going to come out and have one of those big games and then disappear for a couple weeks. But if he has a big game, if he can get a big game out of Woods, and if I'm wrong about Dak, then, this could be Blizzard's week, but I still give the slight edge to Dom here.
Brian, what's your matchup you highlighted on this one?
Yeah, it was the quarterbacks. Obviously, of Josh Allen. Dak and Josh Allen. That's just both of them been unbelievable. Dak Prescott, looking at his numbers, multiple games of over 100, and Josh Allen too. But it's like, to me, that's clearly the best matchup. Just to see what totals both of them could put up. So hopefully the Bills and Titans can play. Of course, we all want to see that. But for Blizzard, to me it's the Dak. Of course, it's the Dak and Dalvin show. Like those two guys together was most of his points last week. But Robert Woods, I think I've had him on my teams before, so it's like I feel like when he has his really good week, he might get you into the 50s. Maybe 60s, but most of the time he sits around the 20s and 30s. But he's a solid possession type receiver. He'll get you a score once in a while. So I like Dom's team still. I still think Dom has got the advantage in this matchup. That could obviously change if Josh Allen does not play. That would be a huge blow because you really just can't replace, especially if he's going at least 80 points, which he's been consistently getting. Like you might get on a replaceable player, on a good week, you might be able to total that, but I just don't see anybody on the waiver, the free agent, wire right now that you could potentially pick up that could get you those type of numbers. And in a matchup like this with playing another pretty strong team, you definitely every point could come down. It'd be very, very important. So I just feel like I still like Dom's team because he is deep enough at running back where he could just put Zeke and Clyde Edwards-Helaire in there and replace Nick Chubb and Eckler. Like that's just crazy. You can just put those two guys in there and just put them right in there and go with it. So I still like Dom because of that, but it could just depend on that Josh Allen situation.
Sure. I'm gonna here's my take, and I'm gonna take Ben in the upset special. I think that Josh Allen was a little bit banged up last week. I think Dak continues to air it out. Deontay Johnson, which no one has mentioned, he's back this week, and to be honest with you, he's the Steelers' number one receiver, or he was playing like that before he got his concussion. And then look it down at the flex. We've got a questionable Michael Thomas. Now, when Dom hears this, maybe he'll bench him for his other 12 superstars that he has on the bench. But I don't think when you have an ankle sprain like Michael Thomas did that you come back and you can perform. Justin Jefferson is like Pro Football Focus's number one receiver over the last 2 weeks. And he gets Seattle with no Jamal Adams. So I think Ben hangs in there and might pull this off.
Yeah, I think it's smart having Michael Thomas in the flex just in case something happens because they do have a bye week next week too. So do they do the same thing Green Bay did with Devontae? Just give him 2 weeks. Why not, right?
Guys, we've got 3 matchups, and I don't know if you saw that flash. 10 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Let's do this.
Me and Ryan against each other.
Battle of the McQueens. We didn't even talk about this yet.
I don't my team doesn't really have star power, especially even though Derrick Henry. If I don't have Derrick Henry again this week, and that means I wouldn't have Stephon Diggs again this week, that would really be a bummer. I'm really hoping for a David Montgomery touchdown now because he has yet to score. And last time I called for that, I got 2 touchdowns from Henry, and then I got 2 touchdowns from Cooper. So let's go. Just give me one. Just give me one, Montgomery, and then we'll be good. Ryan's got Russell Wilson, and I know a lot of people are going to like that matchup, but I say not so fast. I think the Vikings are starting to figure out who they are and what they do, and I think that they'll find a way to slow down. I was a Russ owner last year. He started out so good again last year, too. He can't obviously keep up those numbers. So if I get even a good performance from Wilson, like say 70, 75 points, I think I can overcome that. Ryan's got more COVID stuff to deal with. He's got Aaron Jones on a bye. Of course, Robert Tonyan, the man, the myth, the legend, is also on a bye. So I think I should be able to take this one. 5-0 would be nice, but again, you never know.
Yeah, I'll go. I agree. I think I'm gonna go with you, Mike. I think you know I looked at your team and I said we talked a little bit before about picking a movie titles, and I just kind of looked at yours and said I compared yours to Toy Story in some way, and what I meant by that was I just looked at your team and just said consistency. Like totally 1 through 4, all those movies are great. You just had like nobody under 20 points, and you might think that's a small thing, but it's like that nobody under 20 points that last week, and I think maybe your biggest weakness is Jared Goff a little bit, but that's still not like that's at quarterback he's not the greatest and he hasn't been amazing, but it's like that's still not like nothing to sneeze at, and I feel like overall. I mean, his running back situation this week, it's kind of iffy at best, I'd say, with Gaskin and Harris going for sure. So I just feel like the only matchup I really looked at in this was the kickers, Lutz and Tucker. Like I feel like those are pretty strong kickers. So I like both your kickers, and so I tried to highlight a little bit of each. So kicker, Lutz and Tucker as the matchup to like the showdown matchup, but I feel like overall, I just like your team.
Nice, thanks, man.
That's awesome. Yeah, I agree. Very, very, very consistent. That's the thing. Mike's team is consistent. He has like enough depth in the right spots. And so I'm with Mike again this week. Russell Wilson can put him on his back and make things happen, but overall, nod to balls first in the McQueen Bowl. All right, dirt balls and must ask you a poll.
Let's see. For dirt balls, Matt Ryan's got to put the franchise on his back, right? He's got a good looking matchup to do it with, so that could be scary. Joshua Kelly's going to be a nice find for dirt balls now with no Eckler. I think he'll get some points there. I think this is a must win for Nate here. If he goes 1-4. And you got me and Drew both ahead of him. If we both win like we're supposed to this week, he's going to be very, very far down there. Obviously, he's not going to trade Kamara, but he might start to sell at 1-4. So this is a big week for him. Mustache, still Cam, and now Stephon Gilmore, who didn't really start anyways on COVID. Starting CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup. If Dak's going to throw the ball 59 times, he might as well. And then, as a Cooper owner, I hope most of those targets go to him. Josh Jacobs has been trending down in a bad way since his first game. Fewer yards every week. And then one matchup I thought he could make a switch in the lineup is you maybe go Traquan Smith over Julian Edelman. Julian, who's going to pass on the ball? Is it Stid? So and even people who watch the games are saying Julian Edelman's starting to flinch and look scared to take the hit, which is not a good sign for a guy that's been so good for so long. So slight edge to dirt balls, but all because of Kamara and Ryan.
Right on. I want to know, like, randomly, how did Nate know to start Joshua Kelly last week when Eckler got hurt? Like, Brian, what was your movie reference for this matchup?
Oh, well, I don't think I really had anything for this one.
Okay.
But the matchup I really looked at was, I mean, if you wanted to see like the big time matchup, it'd be the receivers. I think Robinson and Cup against Lamb and Gallup. I think those are, that to me is the best what you're gonna get from, especially from Mustache. I don't really like like I don't love the J.K. Dobbins playing him every week. I just don't. I mean, he might not have anybody necessarily to put in there. He just really doesn't produce at a high enough level right now. I think he's eventually going to for sure in the future. But there's just too much Mark Ingram there, and it's just not. He's not getting the looks. Overall, and Gronkowski, there's just not. I don't see a lot coming from that either. Yeah, I like dirt balls.
Same. Should we bump up to the last matchup? We have about 3 minutes.
You guys take it.
Versus the Brigadiers Brigade.
Let the trash talk begin.
No. Well, I mean, the only trash talk is that my team looks like a team that didn't have a first and second round pick. I'm praying that Mike Evans finds some healing for his ankle. I'm really relying on points, the big touchdown games from him. Like, I need touchdowns from my receivers and my tight ends. Like, that's how my team lives. And I need Kyler to run for 80 yards and hopefully score. Like, that's how I win my matchups. And it's dangerous to rely on anybody but running backs to get touchdowns. Taylor hasn't been cooking yet. And I don't have a running back too. I'm hoping that Zach Moss is healthy and then gets a role. I got lucky with Jeff Wilson showing up 2 weeks ago. He scored me literally 1 point last week. AJ Green is dead to me. And so I'm kind of grasping for what to do with that second running back spot. And it's I'm kind of getting in the spot where I don't know who's buying and who's selling yet to make a move. It's going to stop us here very soon. Brian, give us some thoughts.
Yeah, so for my team, it's really who I start. And that's really it, because I have strong depth in all the wide receiver, running back, skill positions. It's just who I start. And so last week, obviously, we talked about Beckham and the fact that I almost blew it with Beckham, but it's just so hard week to week, because you sit out Schuster, you sit out Beckham, you have to sit out Antonio Gibson right now, and he's doing some great stuff, and it's and Mixon, he wasn't doing much. Luckily, he saved me last week, but it's and then I don't know what I'm getting from Beckham from week to week, because Beckham, before this last week was doing basically nothing, and so it's just about, really, for me, that starting lineup, and hoping I don't miss, and just playing matchups like DJ Moore this week. And DJ Moore's got a favorable matchup against Atlanta, so I might play him, of course, but and Tyler Lockett too. But you just don't miss it, and because if you miss it, especially against good teams, because I feel like I haven't been tested. Honestly, I blew those first 2 weeks, and I lost to White Thunder, and I feel like I've got the tougher part of my schedule coming up, where I really have to prove my team really has to prove it. So I'm looking forward to the test, but it's if I don't get the matchups right, that's my biggest concern, because I have great depth, and I did a little bit because of COVID too. I looked at it and said, with COVID on the that could be coming to play. So